What's up, guys? It's Alex Clark, the Clark Group, Keller Williams Realty, Portland Premier. Can you imagine putting your house on the market, getting a great offer accepted, going all the way through the escrow process, and the moving truck pulls up to your house, you load it up, and as you're loading up the last box into the moving truck, you get a call from a realtor saying that the buyers have terminated the transaction and they're not going to be closing. Can you imagine that? Stay tuned to hear the experience that Peter and I just had with one of our clients and what we were able to do for our seller to mitigate some of those incredibly frustrating moments. Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex Clark, the Clark Group, Keller Williams Realty, Portland Premier. Thanks for tuning in. So we sell a lot of houses. Quite honestly, we sell a house every 3 days on average, about 100 homes a year, and we've kept that pace for a long time. As you know, if you've worked with us, we very rarely lose a transaction in the escrow process. When we get a deal put together, we generally get to the finish line. Out of 100 transactions that we may do on the listing side, we might lose one deal and have to go back to market. So it's very rare. Recently, we had a transaction that was due to close on a Friday, and money was in escrow, everything was good. 4 o'clock on Friday, we get a call from the buyer agent, and their client is refusing to record the transaction and close. And literally, our seller was packing up their last box into the moving truck and driving across the country to their new home. How can that be? How can a buyer just terminate? Well, it's unfortunate, and it's something that a buyer can do. And a seller can do it, quite honestly, too, is they can just literally not sign the documents. Or they can instruct the escrow company, which is a neutral third party, not to close. And what's the repercussion if a buyer does that? Well, per the sale agreement, the repercussions for the seller that are essentially capped at the earnest money amount. And so Peter and I look at earnest money as a really important piece of a buyer's offer on your home. Or if you're making an offer on a home, a really important piece to get the seller to accept your offer rather than someone else's. So earnest money is literally that. It is a show by the buyer, a sign by the buyer of how earnest they are about buying the home. Now, thankfully for our seller, we had negotiated on their behalf a pretty large earnest money amount, $25,000 of earnest money. And when the buyer agent sent over their termination agreement, they asked for them to get their earnest money back. And of course, Peter and I had a chuckle, and then we said, you better release that earnest money to the seller, otherwise we're going to war. Because this is unacceptable. You can't just terminate on the last day. Anyway, we got the seller the earnest money, $25,000 worth. Now, that's not the result that we're looking for, right? We want to close the transaction. But earnest money is unbelievably important. And if you don't have enough and something bad happens in the transaction, seller's kind of out of luck. And so that's why Peter and I will always negotiate a reasonable earnest money amount on behalf of our sellers. And we will advise our clients, if you're a seller, if it's too low, quite honestly. And there's a lot of realtors out there who won't do that, who won't risk putting a deal together because they don't want to negotiate over something so small as earnest money. Well, earnest money is not so small. And we're happy we were able to get that $25,000 to the seller, went back on the market. We're now pending again and going to be closing in about 30 days. So anyway, there's a short story and information about how important earnest money is. So when you hear Peter and I talk about it, you know that we mean business. Hope this was helpful and educational. Please feel free to call with any questions, and we're always here to help. Thanks, guys. Bye.